as I always do, y'all know, I always keep consistent with it. I like to talk about things that are going on in the neighborhood, whether it be going through the neighborhood and showing the local business merchants out there that if they got a table, whatever, I put it on camera. You know, and hopefully if somebody's coming here to NYC or you in the tri-state area, like me or whatever, you know, you'll stop by with some of these vendors and recognize them from the camera and go, you know, purchase something from them. And speaking of purchasing, this is a PSA, a public service announcement for my former accolades in the hip hop industry. I love going through Harlem. I love going through the Bronx. Got you. Got you, David. I love going through all the boroughs and just seeing this beautiful city and the people here in the city, you know, and there's all kinds of different ones of us. There's lifelongers, there's people that are native to New York City, there's people that come here from other countries, whatever. And we embrace everybody that comes here, you know what I'm saying, as long as everything is accordingly and you respect, you know. But there's something that's happening in both of those communities that I mentioned currently right now. It's called gentrification. It had been going on prior to this, probably 10, 15 years. It took the form of taking away vouchers in New York City. It took away the problem of having to do rent stabilization any longer. And this all happened out of a coincidence. I'm gonna give this gentleman a second. This all came out of coincidence because of one single thing. The laws that Bloomberg and both Cuomo lifted off the books to allow developers to come into New York City. Most of those developers not even from New York City, but from other places like Boston, which is a place testament to de Blasio. He had a woman named Otoye, and I'll get back into this in a second. She had a woman that was in a position named Otoye. I forgot what her first name was, but she was appointed by Michael de Blasio. She's African, I believe. And this woman, what she did was, she subsequently altered records of there being lead paint in many of NYCHA buildings throughout New York City. And as a result, more kids throughout New York City, which predominantly most of them that live in these housing projects, are usually, most of the time, Black or Latino. Specifically Black and Latino immigrant groups, even more so now. That happened in the fold probably in the late 90s more so, here in the tri-state area. You see the same examples in Connecticut, you'll see the same examples exactly in I say more duplicate in New Jersey, more so than anywhere. So we embrace all that. All through the 90s to early 2000s up until now. You never hear too many rappers, and I challenge anybody that could back me up on this that's really been in there, really done the diligence and really been around other people in the industry and got friends in the industry, et cetera, to challenge me on this question right here. And that'd be Doggy Diamond, Star from Star in the Morning. That'd be Queen's Flip. You know what I'm saying? Flip, you've been around us a lot. You know, Him Rock is your man. You know what I'm saying? Him Rock and me, we did the office time together. You know what I mean? That's back when I was doing the real internship. Like you wasn't getting paid nothing. You know what I'm saying? Already, what's going on, David? So, you know, we was going, sorry about that, y'all, I had a little glitch. I hit the button. We was going to the office, 1540 Broadway in Manhattan, and we wouldn't get paid for nothing. You know what I'm saying? We were there because we were just happy to be with Puff and everything else. So, you know, that was a real time. Since those times are accumulating all that money that Puff and Jay and everybody else has, nobody ever asked y'all MF a question of this, and I think nobody's just not bold enough, and I'm not trying to be bold, though, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to get you prepared. I have a plan of not only commercial, but residential development. This development is easy to put up because of the materials that it's made out of. And they're more eco-friendly. Also, they're more less sustainable, excuse me. That's a tongue twister, yeah? Less susceptible, rather than less to hurricane and everything else. And this is the example I've given to you, and I'll tell you this one time and I'll tell you it only. Shipping container housing, I've been talking about now for about, it's my third year. In that time, I've developed, Jesus Christ, not only scats, but Jesus Christ, I don't know how many different designs we got. I really don't. Rappers, you need to buy up New York City right now when you get on the cheap. Buy now. And I don't know why none of y'all silly champagne popping motherfuckers ain't paying attention to this. Because everybody else is. And what the end result in the end game is everybody that's paying attention right now, when it's just over, they become out winning. Because now you got to rent from them. And that square footage goes up, now you're paying for it. Don't you see? See, that's black excellence. The shit that you talking about, creating a political party, that's 4 years from now at best. All right? And that's not to disrespect, but that's 4 years from now at best, Puff. Charlemagne, Jeezy, everybody in on it. I know. Y'all respect me too. I'm an ex-hustler too. Remember, I couldn't go on a lot of jobs because I had 2 felonies. All right, before I even met you guys, I knew guys that went to high school with Puff in them. You know what I'm saying? Those are the guys I was around at the time when I was coming out. 3rd Avenue. Shout out to my man Showboat, Junebug, Macho, Panama, everybody over in Mount V. I was over there hanging with people, my crew from Mount V. God bless all those guys. That's the truth. 3rd Avenue, the Nothing But Love picnic, I went to it twice. Heavy D used to throw that. I was at it twice. That's why I first saw Groovy Lou. Creative stylist. Look up Groovy Lou. One of New York City's like premier stylists, you know. I did all that shit. I'm a grown fucking man now, and I attest to you, I don't do stuff like that no more. And a lot of stuff we were lucky to get away from. You know? How you doing? All right, 305 Capricorn on the check-in. Dave, I appreciate y'all. The point I'm getting at is, it's not the tough guy rhetoric anymore. Please hit those like buttons, y'all. I appreciate it. It's not the tough guy rhetoric anymore that people are concerned with. Now they're concerned with what you gonna do. You know, talk is cheap. A lot of people get online and they do these fake advocacies and they pretend like they care. But the results we never very rarely see. And the same thing you ask of the politicians. So what I'm saying to you right now, even a building right now that I'm standing in front of, I'm gonna give you an example of something. And I wanna show you real clearly, all right? Give me 2 seconds, guys, and I'm gonna show you something. So, hold on, I'm gonna walk over here. All right, so, you see down this block right here? Down this block right here, and this block right here. The difference is, over here, this is where the peoples is at and the folks is at. And over here, this is where Columbia University has brought up a multitude of multiple buildings and segregated them and subletted them out to its apartments. Now, the average New Yorker can't afford to live right there, and one of the premier things about over there is the view. Same way it is in Connecticut when I do my what's the names there, it's the view. Now, you see this place right here? I'm gonna show you. This building right here, and I might possibly be wrong about that. This building right here, I think is some of the few that are few left in this side of Harlem right here that are aptly available to buy. Now, Puff is worth $865 million. He's only a couple, what is that, 2.5, close to $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre. A lot of these guys are worth billions now. Like, we're not talking about cookie cutter. And this because you don't pay attention to rap or you don't like rap, that doesn't mean that the residuals care about what you think. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the NASDAQ is not traded on how you feel or what you think or what your perception is or what your moralities or fake moralities or whatever, you know? It's the truth. You need to buy up real estate in New York right now. It's dirt cheap. I can't believe that, and I got to watch it again because we had we actually had the opportunity. It was great. Now, I'm going to put it up for you guys that we twice now had June. And June was one of the guys I was telling you about this. A black gentleman, he's part of the Brooklyn Bank down in Brooklyn. Shortly before COVID-19, when we interviewed him, he actually at that time was getting ready to do an opening for the Brooklyn Bank. So it's unfortunate that happened, but Jude, that's one of the dudes that y'all need to talk to right there. You can get in touch with him with Prez. Prez will put you on. It ain't nothing. Just call it, hit Prez. See that? That's my soul talking. Prez will put you on. Know what I mean? Facto. That's God talking. God like, yo, thank you for telling me. On the money. It's not coincidence that just happened. It's not coincidence of what I'm just saying. You can just look at the real estate market currently right now in New York City, and it's up for grabs. It really is. And the sad thing is, I don't mean this as an insult to anybody, but it's going to a lot of foreign entities. And the result of that is further gentrification, but in a different way. My preference, of course, and for preservation of culture, I understand it. I think everybody understands it here in this country. I think the fact is a lot of people don't think that we know, that we understand it. You know, and that's the confusion part right there. So, you know, somewhere between the line, there's always a segue to communicate that message amongst one another, whatever. But you have to be of the educated fraction to actually evoke that and articulate it the correct way, where it still remains pleasant, if that makes sense. For some reason or another, this is not happening with Puff. This is Jay-Z. I less put a finger on because he has had properties here in New York, multiple ones. But I'm not talking about personal properties. I'm talking about properties that actually be rental locations, properties that you hire a developer, such as myself or many other people, or upcoming developers, I may say. My perplexity right now is to actually have commercial, because that's what works here. Residential, I think, will work maybe in Brooklyn, maybe in some parts of Bronxville. But here in Manhattan, commercial properties made of these materials that I'm speaking of, they definitely will work. And I think that not only would the city embrace it, I think a lot of other people would embrace the idea. Now, in Connecticut, we have New Haven, and we also have, I think it's Glastonbury, that also has the same materials, shipping container housing. Now, the plus about that is shipping containers are dirt cheap. Like, they're literally dirt cheap. And being that this oncoming crisis, listen, that whole COVID bill, that's why I said to you guys earlier, that whole COVID bill, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but it's a retention period. You know, there's something else that has to be overviewed again, and then it's passed. But technically it's passed. But the progression of it is slow. You know what I mean? To disperse before people. So, you know, whether you get electronically or snail mail, it's going to be a second. You know what I mean? You ain't going to get it just immediately. But it will come, and it's a good thing because a lot of people need that money, you know? And I specifically, y'all know I am. I'm glad that the people need that money. Thank you very much. They need to buy the property right now. I watch a lot of analysts. I analyze what they're saying and their analysts, and I put my own, touch to what I think could use to perfect it. You know, that's one thing Puff did teach us. It was how to perfect things. You know, it's a narcissism that I don't like, but everybody's got their own venoms, and so look at me, I'm smoking a cigarette. How about that? Somehow or another, we're in a loop in this country where residential properties are going to be like a luxury. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think the rental market will go down one more time, and then it'll come right back up. I'm invested in the stock market. I put up, you know what I mean? So if you're gonna deal in stocks and anybody tells you anything different, they're lying to you. Dealing companies just have dividends. Make sure they have dividends. Residual dividends will be your best friend. That means every time that the company makes some money, you make some money. I think of 5 companies that I've dealt with now. The IPOs on them, they have a dividend on them. So even if you buy 0.1, it has some type of dividend on top of it. You know what I mean? In other words, it made a short-term version. So you stand to gain some money off of it. I tell a lot of people in the hood, I tell a lot of people everywhere, I'm like, yo, and I try to actually show them, like, listen, this is how you do the stocks. It's very easy. It's really just simple multiplication and trajectory. If you're not good at trajectory, don't get yourself involved in stocks. You'll fail every time. All right, you got to be able to predict things, and that's one thing that you get out of being a perfectionist. You're able to predict things. Puff is able to predict trends. That much I give him. You know what I mean? Jay's be able to predict trends. If you haven't seen and you don't believe me, just look at his career the past 30 years. LL Cool J, same thing. Since as you bow out, start doing acting, it becomes bigger. That's where I'm going to end up at. I'm going to end up behind the camera and in front of the camera. I know, like the dream that I want, that's how it's going to come true for me. And in my community room, I don't know if y'all guys saw it, I'm going to put up some more pictures and stuff like that. Because somebody said, yo, why don't you put up your artwork or whatever? I guess they went on my IG. So I'm going to put up my artwork or whatever, you know what I mean? And I sell my pictures too. I mean, I do selfies, I do everything, but like if you're ever interested or whatever, or pointing insurrection or somebody that's into photography or whatever, I'm always obliged. But it has to be dope photography. It can't be like just like regular photography. Like I spend a minute doing manual edits. So I don't want no bubblegum stuff, in other words. I want something that's of critique. And I don't care what age you are. I'm not age you know, specific or gender specific or whatever. You know, if you do the work, you do the work. So that's how I move. Listen, man, buying up the city right now, if you're a rapper, if you're an entrepreneur that's a rapper, if you know a rapper that's a multi-millionaire right now, instead of spending $900,000 on a change, come here to New York City right now, spend $900,000 on a building. I guarantee you could probably get it under that if you negotiate well enough. You know what I mean? I guarantee you can. Hey, Star Pepper, what's going on? Nothing much, man. Y'all want to see the town real quick? I just want to do that because, like I said, I've been feeling, you know what I mean, real. You know, I'm in the hood. On front. You know what I'm saying? On front. I don't want to hold you, though. I want to hold you. Damn, I had that on the side of my mouth the whole time. That's crazy. Mouth is dry. Pour me, y'all. I got something for that, though. Mouth is dry as hell. I'm sorry, y'all. I out here looking like Ashy Larry. You know what I'm saying? I here looking like Ashy Larry. But guys, I want to point that out. I think it's time for people to start coming in the neighborhood, start buying up things, and right now is the perfect time. It's dirt cheap right now. I hope all of y'all circulate this message, even if you're having a conversation, if you know other bloggers that can take this conversation a little bit further. I only care about the message getting out. Once the message gets out, everything and the action gets invoked. That's the only thing I'm worried about. All that tip and tap, who did it first, and it was me, and all that sissy stuff. I ain't with all that. You know, I want to see the end game result done because that progresses the momentum of people. You know, I grew up around a lot of different people. I grew up around Italians. I grew up around Dominicans. I grew up around Cubans. I grew up around black people. I grew up around a lot of different people all my life, and a lot of them I got a specific story with a lot of them, especially my man Manny. You know what I'm saying? R.I.P. Manny. That's my man. And Dominicano. You know? It's unfortunate, but everybody's concerned with being a braggart right now and bragging about what they got and how they doing it. Got a damn pandemic where people ain't working, people ain't even eating right. People's going to soup kitchens and stuff. You know, you flashing and stunting on people right now. I see that a lot, especially online. The online bullying with it, the financial bullying, is kind of crazy. It's like, how do you ever you look like a punk right now, you know? Like, I don't know, in the guys I came up with, you look like a punk. You know, you picking on poor people, your own people. Who gonna feed them then? The white people? Don't worry about it, the white people feed them, right? That's the mentality now. Because it seemed to be the mentality. You know, it's white people starving right now. I can take you to Connecticut right now, I'll show you. It's white people starving out in Connecticut. There's white men make up the majority of the people I see that the homeless population in Connecticut. I told you this before, guys. The majority. And then the second in line would be black and Spanish men equally out there because, and it's specifically men. I don't see the women out there as much. It's specifically men. And I'm like, okay, how come the same things are not being allocated to these men? You know what I mean? Like, really. But making fun of somebody during a pandemic, I don't know how that's dope. You know, I don't get it. And I see a lot of financial bullying go, ha, you ain't got this, or ha, you ain't got that, or financial bragging, being boastly, you know, English, you know, boastly, you know. It's just like, too boastly. So it's unfortunate that a lot of people nowadays feel that financial bullying on their own is some type of coherent structure to build upon a society, build upon ideology, build upon all this hotep talk that we hear about and all this stuff. The action has to be taken for all those to come to reality. You're just pretending. You're pretending online, you're talking online, and you're using the internet as a conduit to spread a message. And the message, yes, it has a good tone to it, but at the same time, the message ain't got no action behind it. And the terrible thing about it is you got a lot of people complaining about white people not having no action, but we got to talk about some of the black and Latino constituents that have been in this city and across the nation and in other states that haven't fulfilled their promises once they get elected into office. Once they get elected into office, they switch up. Now they're getting embezzlement chases, getting caught, you know what I'm saying, taking illegal bribes and everything. We had a guy in Connecticut named Eddie Perez. Matter of fact, forget Eddie Perez. Eddie Perez was Hartford. The Governor Rowland in Connecticut, ended up getting indicted for taking bribes and was jailed. You understand? This happens. It happens. You know, so let's not pretend. Hit those like buttons, guys. Appreciate it if you do. The point is, I'm getting at here is, why ain't y'all talking about real estate? If y'all don't get over there and talk to Sean Prez and tell him to put you in check, put you in touch with Jude down in Brooklyn Bank, that brother, as soon as the city opens back up, he's going to be right there. You already know. And I'm going to be right there with him. Because that's the man right there that I think personally, Jude, that will make my fruition of my shipping container houses come true. So what y'all need to do, Puff, Jay-Z, everybody else, get in touch with Prez, sit down in the room with me, Prez, and Jude. Each one of us has got a fraction of it. But I'm telling you, the designs I have for these shipping container homes, they're magnificent. It's all about locality and zoning permits. The zoning permits are tight for them because a lot of people don't want it next to their structure, understandably, but there's ways to alter them to make them look like the existing. There's ways to alter it now and make it look like the existing structures around it. So, you know, there's all kinds of different ways you can put front facades between them and everything like that. But what we're doing is you're just taking shipping container houses and you're basically stacking them, but you're mounting them so to a position where they don't fall, where they don't move, where they're almost bolted so much into the ground by the beams that are there. The beams are, particularly if you're smart, are probably about, I would say 6 foot. And I would say about 6 foot down or maybe a little bit more down because of the weight of these things. But they won't shift. Once they're locked into those things, they're not going to shift, they're not going to move, they're not going to sway or whatever. I'm going to throw up a link and I'm going to actually throw it in here after I finish this. And I'm going to lead you to the development that they have actually in New Haven. And when you see that development in New Haven, which has been there, I think now 7-8 years, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, that development in New Haven was made by a German guy, okay? A German guy. Now, this German developer, he came in and did that, but nobody thus far has completed and done the same. There's been a minority. And that's my reach to everybody. I think, yes, the rap thing, we just keep that going. Puff, last thing I checked, you only got one artist signed right now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 2, if I'm mistaken, but I think 1 because one person's contract ran out. Shout out to French. You know what I mean? He concluded that contract at Interscope. I know that much. So buying real estate right now is the most important thing that you could do if you want to help the Black and Latino community. And if you dumb, slow, Cristal, champagne popping, dodos, what happened to y'all? Richer y'all got, the dumber y'all got. Huh? Now this guy's slow. Y'all need to talk to regular people. Talk to regular people. Puff, you need to be here right now. I'll be walking around this whole city doing a video with your mask on. That's what you could do. Even if you gotta be out here with bodyguards, who cares? Even if you only go a block or 2 and do it. Just do it. You know how we do. This is your home. And I'm saying it first rate. I walked by this right around the corner here. There's a church. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's over by the towers here. And you know, every day I see them people out there, boxes upon boxes upon boxes. I went to my man's food drive and showed y'all from there. That's my man. I've known him for years. He had over 180 bags given out to the hood. He had fruit, he had vegetables, everything given out to everybody. But why aren't there more people in the music industry, my industry, that are not, you know, contributing towards helping Black and Latino people? I don't understand that. People talk shit about the guy from Goya, right? That guy from Goya had 2 trucks out in the BX giving out food. While y'all talking about him because he said he agreed with Trump at the time. So what? Y'all, a lot of y'all agree with Trump now too, because he want to give you $2,000. I let him hold that. Shit, Trump our friend. For right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But hopefully that gets passed because a lot of people need that money. A lot of people, you know, including myself and many others. I don't know nobody that can't. But all these big talking money people that's online, I don't think none of y'all should get a check. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna do nothing but go buy a PS5 that's on Amazon somewhere for $900. You know what I'm saying? I want to see some real movement. You know, and maybe I'm the beginning of something different. I don't know. Thank you very much, Carissa. I just read that. Thank you very much. She said, better copyright your ideas. You're a visionary. Thank you very much. I hope so. I just, like I said, I'm more entailed of invoking the action. Like when we promoted albums and all that stuff, the inaction was you would sit there and you would scope what the current comment was at the time. And that would be from going to parties, going to people's, album releases, everything like that. Then soon it unfolded into going online. Now you're looking online and you're seeing, okay, who's following who or whatever. Now it's matriculated again. Now it's now on YouTube. And let's go to YouTube, see what's happening over here, who's having a virtual party, who's doing this, who's doing that. There's all different types of vehicles you could take now as an injection to when it was 10, 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Up to now. I was one of the lucky people. I was at a certain age that I got to see all of them. I saw the height of CDs. I saw the destruction of CDs. I saw the innovation of Napster going to digital files. I saw them get sued. And then they turned around and Steve Jobs grabbed the same idea and started charging people and called it Apple iTunes. I saw when, you know what I'm saying? When it matriculated to that, and now it's Spotify and Tidal. I've seen them all. I even go back to cassette tapes with my cousins in them, so I know the vehicles in which they distributed music have been, because I've been involved not with the cassettes, but with the CD game or whatever. And I tell you this, it was a better game when it was the way it was, and more lucrative. I don't think anybody in business is going to argue that. It was way more lucrative at that time. We talking about a time where Big had a double disc out. We're talking about a time when Pac had a double disc out. We're talking about a time when you go in a Virgin Mega store and on the Deuce, and it's gonna cost you like, $15 for a joint. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it was, and it stayed like that up until 2000, say 3-ish, and then this invention of everything coming in and the specs of what they could do with digital files now. It's a shame that those kids from Napster, they got taken down the way they did. And then, like I just said before, Steve, that's the way I proved it anyway. Steve Jobs, shortly after that, maybe 2, 3, 4 years after that, did the exact same thing and patented iTunes. But he did the same thing that Napster did. He just innovated the idea. But I mean, the file sharing thing was them. I mean, I remember I used to have a drive. I used to have all kinds of songs on my drive, like facts. Like, I would take my drive with me if I was going to somebody's house or party, be like, yo, pop this in. They pop it in their laptop, have a little speaker. Back then the speaker had a cord still. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. They only make their handlers money. This is why I don't go help. They only make their handlers money. This is why they don't go back to help the fam, etc. Yeah, I do believe that. I'll say to you like this. And this is my perception of it, and being involved in it and being around it for so many years of the music industry. It comes to terms when you say this. Yeah, there's some bosses. Don't get me wrong. There's some bosses that can make some things happen. There's some bosses that can do things for you, which was one of my complaints when I was with this company. There's some bosses that can buy these buildings right here in Harlem that I'm talking about. Right now, during the pandemic, when they dirt cheap. Slow, y'all slow, man. What's wrong with y'all? What, you want to buy another Bentley for a present? What's this, your 7th one? Come on, man, wake up. You buy these buildings in Harlem right now, you buy these buildings in the Bronx right now before they gentrify them and run the rent up to freaking $1,800 for a studio on these people. Like, it ain't almost like that right now. A lot of the rappers from New York, especially the newer rappers, are actually doing what they can, and I see it. You know, I see it. I could have swore I seen Dave East today too, and I wanted to say, yo, you Dave East, and I didn't. But it looked just like him when I was in Harlem, when I was on the East Side then. But yo, my man talking on the whistle, they sent me something. They can only make their handlers money. That's a fact though. That's not the people you answering to. The people you answering to is making the money. And they're making it like, you know, they almost like drug dealers themselves, because they like, all right, listen, man, this product ain't working no more, let's switch it up. And please believe that's how it's mentioned. I mean, I've been in many of meetings. I was in Shine's freaking, what's the name, marketing meeting. I remember that. All of us were, me, Rome, all of us. We were all in a marketing meeting for that. I still even got a picture of that. I had a couple pictures, I believe, of us when we were in there. And they sat down with us, told us a marketing deck and everything like that, and what they wanted to do was shine. And we were the marketing team, so our position at that time was to get in the clubs, get in popping, you know, give a record to the DJ. Back then everybody's giving records, and make sure that he gets it. And, you know, I watched it, the transition of that when they went to digital files, and it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? You send a file to the DJ, make sure the DJ get it, and then he plays it on the radio or whatever. It's still the same system. So, but this will make it and put it in context of both then and now. Regardless of how it goes, that's how the business goes. At the end of the day, your deal is with said or whoever it is as far as a company. And that company holds retention and major share in whatever artist you have or whatever, because most of the time, and I say, I don't know, this is the problem mostly, and that's why I said motherfuckers need to stop buying chains and Bentleys trying to show off in front of chicks on Section 8, is that you are spending up what you could accumulate very quickly, but sooner or later it dwindles down. Buy your toys later after you invested your money. Follow the simple steps of Wiz Khalifa. Follow the steps of Jay-Z. Follow the steps of Puff as far as owning multiple companies. You will see your further residuals, your future residuals will come from the companies, not from the albums. You know, get yourself into stocks like I told you, and I'm going to walk you guys through even more, because stocks are very important for you. Stocks are very important for you, and buildings like this is behind me, they're important to buy. Very important to buy. And I'll leave you with this. One more time. Look at me, rappers, okay? Look at me. Everybody need to sit down in the room with Sean Prez and Jude, okay? He gonna get y'all right on these properties, and he's not gonna show you no low ball bozo properties. He's gonna show you properties that are low refurbs and that you can get into very quickly. After you get that, you know, permission from the city and the certificate of occupancy, you know the drill. It's gonna take maybe a couple of months, maybe close to a year, but you're gonna get it. Once you get that, you need to erect these buildings as apartments. And you need to make them affordable apartments. And the way you make them affordable is, and watch who you let in them, because you don't want them to change around either. But more Pacific families, a lot of single men, some of these people can be put in these apartments, and you can get money allocated to you from the state directly. You don't even have to deal with the city. Wow. Deal with the government. You know? It's possible. It's very easy. And I've seen people like Slim Thug. I've seen people like a whole bunch of rappers. I can go down the list. I think E40's involved in a lot of properties. Make these rental properties for the people and the good people. The teachers is in the hood. You know, here in New York City, you got women that are teachers living in NYCHA buildings. This is a fact, though. Women that have PhDs that live in NYCHA housing. But in Connecticut, they would live in a condo. And they pay rent like they live in a condo. So it's some hard working people in this. And I love this city. I'm sorry about that. I had a little fart for a minute, y'all. Pardon me. There's some people I love in this city. Come here and spend your money, Puff. Come back here and spend your money, Jay. The buildings is cheap right now. And we need the folk to own these buildings. Do you understand? We need the folks to own this. Claro que sí, entonces, claro. We need the people to own these. Y'all thought I was stunting, right? But look, Puff, I gotta end it with this one. I'm only doing what you taught me to do. But the problem is, you don't realize this is what you taught us to do. So it's like that commercial, remember back in the day? I learned it from watching you. I'll see you guys later.